Now, this is a case which has not gone to trial yet, but I would hardly consider it to be unsolved. I think that by the time you finish watching this video, you will have very little doubt as to exactly what went on. It's just not official yet, she knows of. And she doesn't have mental health problems. And this was not expected behavior for her to, leave the house in the middle of the night. So everyone got right on this. Like, they didn't waste a minute, alright? They got the posters right out, missing. They told all the neighbors to check your cameras, and that's how they got all the information that I just told you before. The kids at the school dressed in white for awareness of her being missing. The police found out right away that Tristan had gone to Trey's house the night before, or it's not even the night, you know what I'm talking about, early in the morning. So they went right over to talk to Trey, and he said yes, she was here, but she left with Aiden. So they headed over to talk to Aiden, and they already had some information from the security cameras by then, so they kind of knew the timeline. They asked him about his time with Tristan, and he said, yes, we left together, but then shortly right after that, she turned and walked to her house, and I turned and walked to my house. And that was around, 1:30 in the morning when they had left the party. So the police said, interesting, but why did it take you 2 hours to get back to your house? Because they had already seen him on the security footage. So he's like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, wait, that's not what happened. Okay, here's what happened. We left together, and we walked for a while, and, to that pond, yes. And, I tried to kiss her, and she rejected me. So I was really mad, because I had been smoking some pot over at Trey's house, and I was a little out of it. So I pushed her, and she fell down and hit her head on a rock. But I don't know what happened after that, because I just walked away before I even turned back to look and see if she got up. But I'm pretty sure that she was going to go meet up with her drug dealer right after that. So I think that's where she went. So I'm just listening to this and I'm thinking, she has a drug dealer. Like, I don't know if he's making that up, but she has a drug dealer. She's 13 and she doesn't look like she has a drug dealer, but let's just see, right? So that was his story for that time. And then around 6 p.m., still the same day, like this was a fast moving case. It's still Mother's Day. A jogger jogs right past the body of little Tristan Bailey, lying by the pond. So he calls the police. They come right over. They check out the scene. So they bring him down to the police station. I guess his parents followed in their own car. I don't know. But by the way, his parents were not married. Aiden lived with his mother and her partner. And I think he may have had siblings, but I couldn't find the information. Now, Aiden's father, Jason was his name, currently 36 or 37. He had a criminal history. He had multiple things in his past, but most notably was in 2003, when he was 18, he was charged with having relations with a 15-year-old. It was consensual, but we all know that's a crime, right? So he was charged. And they gave him probation, 2 years probation. But he violated the probation and wound up getting 14 months in prison. And then there were a few other crimes as well. He had charges of theft, driving with a suspended license, as well as battery. So, that's just a little information for you. I don't think he was in any current legal trouble. But anyway, so his two parents came, and because he was a minor, he was 14, born in 2007. And he and his parents sat alone in one of those interview rooms, and they had themselves a little chat on camera. And a few things were said that were very suspicious. For example, Aiden asked something like, how's Tristyn? Is she good? And the mother's like, no, she's dead. And he says, what does that have to do with me? And the mother asked him what he was wearing the night before. And he said, jeans. And she said, was anything on them? So he whispers to her, blood. And then she says, oh wait, no. You were wearing khakis, right? Khakis. You were wearing khakis, not jeans. And he's like, oh right, khakis. And the father says, I don't think we should be talking in here. Like, hello, you just did, what are you doing? And then they told him, well, you need to pick a story and stick to it. Something like that. And they left. He was arrested. By the time he was arrested, it was like 3 a.m. on May 10th now. So we finally moved to the next day. All that happened in basically one day. It's either really good police work, or he just didn't cover his tracks at all, or a little of both. So anyway, he was arrested. Originally, he would be tried as a juvenile, but it was changed shortly thereafter to first-degree murder, and he would be tried as an adult. And of course, he pled not guilty. is supposed to be regarding waiving a speedy trial, which supposedly is a pretty common kind of a hearing. Anyway, he is sitting in there with the phone, and he's just looking around like he's so confused, swaying his head from, one side to the other, like, where am I? What's going on? What am I doing here? He's just acting totally disoriented. And then he's like, I just want to talk to my mom and dad. The demons are taking my soul. I don't want the demons to take my soul. Okay, so that is what he did at that hearing for his lawyers and the judge and the public to see. I don't really know how that got out to the public, but it sure did. Now, do we think that's authentic? Is he faking it? Is he trying to, act like he is legally insane? Can't say for sure, but I didn't think it looked too real, but it's not my job to determine that. And I did hear from at least one professional who said it looked real. So regardless, it doesn't seem like that led to anything, though. It's not like anyone said, hey, we better get, psychiatrists in here, or I didn't hear anything like that. And what I did hear was that they have kind of, sort of tentatively planned for his full trial to be in the fall of 2022. Now, some information from his friends from school. Well, according to his girlfriend, on several occasions, he had snuck up behind her with a knife, put it up against her throat, and joked around like he was going to, kill her more than once. And he had said that he plans to murder some random person by dragging them into the woods and stabbing them. And that then he would funny or smart. Because you don't need to be putting out lies out there that the police might have to go ahead and check into. You know, that's just not right, and it's illegal to do that. So this social media can be helpful, and it can also be hurtful in these cases. Okay, so do I think he did it? Yeah, I do. I'm almost sure. I'm pretty sure. Why did he do it? Do I think he is insane? No, not legally insane. He's definitely mentally ill, but not legally insane, you know? That would have to mean that he was psychotic at the moment when he murdered her, meaning that he didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't in control of himself, you know? That he had had a psychotic break at that moment, and I don't think that that is what happened at all. I mean, the fact that he had told his girlfriend that he wanted to kill somebody random, so it's kind of premeditated. We don't really know if he had planned on killing her that night, or an opportunity just, you know, came up and he did it. He sure didn't seem very remorseful, you know? Like, I understand that if you killed somebody, you wouldn't want to act like you were super upset about it when you were in the back of the police car. You might want to try to hide that somehow. But he was just too calm and too relaxed, and didn't look like he had a problem in the world, you know? And so it doesn't seem like the murder was weighing heavily on his mind. Until it seemed like he was going to get in trouble for it. And it makes me think, like, would you ever suspect a 14-year-old kid would be capable of this kind of brutality? And I guess after, you know, learning about all these true crime cases, I guess I have to say, you know, yes, it sure does seem to happen, but it's always very surprising. I mean, we don't hear anything about this kid's past, whether he had any major traumas or anything that might have made him this way. We don't know. And his father has a criminal history. Nothing to this extent, though, but still, you know. He could have inherited these antisocial tendencies, or he could have learned them from his father. Hard to say, since it's not clear whether he lived for any period such